So very, very welcome to everybody. Today, and I don't actually do this every month. We do have employment numbers every month, and I thought today we would do a live event for everybody and kind of just invite all of our trader friends because I think this month's employment numbers, actually September's employment numbers, is what we're going to be looking at. But I think the announcement this month might be a little more volatile and a little more crazy than some past months. Um, so I figured, why don't we all just watch it together? What the heck? Let's see if we can make some bucks and go for it. Should be good. So let's do that. So there's a lot to discuss, talk about, look at, so on and so on. We've got the employment numbers coming out here in just about 13 minutes or so, I think, give or take. So we're going to be watching, just kind of looking to see what these numbers are. We're not going to try to take a direct trade immediately from the news. Non-farm payroll has become very much an unpredictable kind of situation, so we don't want to try to push our luck there too much. But we are interested in potentially doing something, a couple of minutes after the news. We'll let the initial spike and reaction happen because that's getting pretty wild and crazy. But 2, 3, 4 minutes after the news, we might be able to get ourselves into a trade. Everybody hang out with us for a couple of minutes as well. We're going to talk about some of the setups that I think are interesting going into the news and kind of how everything's going. And then we'll talk about where some good opportunities have come in the last week or so, and what hopefully we're going to see coming in the next week or 2 or 3. So I'll give you guys a couple of cool trade ideas that I think are looking awesome. So stick around with us. We'll talk about that just after the news. And I'd love to hear any of you guys' questions, comments. We'll save most of the questions for just after the news. Anything, if you have something quick you want to throw in right now, go for it. But we'll definitely have lots of time after the news to talk about anything you guys want to discuss. But I do want to share some trade ideas with you, and I want to see if maybe there's an opportunity to get into a trade with this coming news. So one thing that we have seen that has been very interesting, remember, trading is, we've had to do our best to kind of stay on the cutting edge of what the market is trying to tell us, and it has been tricky. Yes, Mel. Yep. I think we're gonna hold. I do like the position, by the way. It's a good question you bring up. I do like this position of our Euro New Zealand. We're darn near in 200 pips of profit on this Euro New Zealand. So just to address this real quick, I'm glad you brought that up. I think we've got the Euro New Zealand. First of all, this is going to be not a huge impacting amount of news for the Euro New Zealand. At least it shouldn't be. And I think we can get down into the 172.100, 172.50 kind of area. So I want to hold on to this for at least another 100 pips if we can. And I think we'll be able to. So I want to see if we can get, 300 pips out of this trade, and then we'll start looking at times to close it out there. So it's looking good, though. It's definitely moving nicely for us. Thanks, Euro New Zealand. We trade this pair about, I wouldn't even say we trade it once a year. Probably a bit less than that. But when the setup is good, like this one has been, and we had all the things kind of lining up, that's a really great time to be taking a trade there. So Euro New Zealand is awesome. It's been a great trade. And yes, we're going to leave that for just a little bit longer. So what I want to look at, guys, is I want to look at this dollar index. So it's been really tricky to figure out what the dollar is going to do. Historically speaking, the dollar will, if the stock market's looking bad, the dollar will do well. If the stock market's doing really well, then the dollar is kind of soft. Nobody wants to trade the dollar. We've had this interesting thing where, yes, the stock market's been a little bit bad this week, and we've seen some down days in the S&P and in the Dow this week. And you see some of that. We had a little bit of a better day yesterday. I guess that was the day before, trying to get things kind of back up again. But it's been definitely opposite from kind of historically speaking, right? Where we look for, hey, stocks are coming down, let's buy the dollar because everything's risk off and everybody wants to jump into the dollar because they're getting out of stocks. Well, we've seen the stock market stay pretty stable, stay at some pretty good upper levels, not have too many big corrections. And all along the way, the dollar has been strengthening as well. So we've kind of seen this slow dollar move towards strength and this slow stock market, kind of continuing to, over the last little bit, especially over this year, we're kind of just seeing some higher highs, barely some higher highs here, little double tops kind of playing in over there. So it's kind of been, this type of a situation. And we've seen the dollar basically do the same thing. So pretty opposite of what we normally see, but there's a lot of different things at play. And that's why we've been watching volatility, the VIX. We've been watching this guy right here a lot. We've been watching U.S. Treasury yields a lot because that's telling us a lot about what investors are doing and thinking about. And as those yields are going down, bonds are going back up. And, we're getting that bond strength there and strength in the Treasury market because we're seeing that, people are still pouring into that. They're saying, hey, I'm not trusting this market. I think things are probably going to be a little bit scary, so I'm just going to put my money in safe places. And while they've been doing that, the stock market's been inching higher. And this has been, so it's been a really confusing market for a lot of people to trade, myself included. At least half the time I'm going, okay, let me scratch my head and make sure our correlations are still working the way that they should. And it's been pretty consistent. We've kind of been watching those things, and they've all been kind of signaling fairly consistently over the last several months. So that's been good. So now what we have coming up is employment numbers, right? So we've got these employment numbers that are going to tell us hopefully something, right? So we've had some pretty good employment numbers in the U.S. over the last couple of years. The numbers have been good. It's been like 200,000 plus jobs every month. And then we've seen it kind of slow down a little bit in the last couple of months. We've seen some 150s. I think we got some 130s maybe in there. Last month, we had a 130. We're looking for a 145. So it's slowing down a little bit. But now we're kind of looking to see, another thing that's been crazy is interest rates, right? We've seen all these countries lowering their interest rates, but then we don't really see as much weakness on the currency pair, which has been kind of strange. And so it's just been a really kind of interesting movement. But I'm looking and I'm thinking that if we have bad employment numbers for the U.S. for September, so if this announcement here in another 6 minutes is bad, I think the Fed is going to look at that pretty closely, and that, they've cut interest rates twice when they kind of were, one was a surprise and two wasn't really expected, and that happened. But now they've said we're pausing things, we're taking a breath, we're taking a moment here. But then if we have bad employment numbers, I think they could get back on the interest rate cutting bandwagon to go along with all the rest of the central banks around the world. And I think that might finally start to add to some dollar weakness. So we've seen interest rate cuts and the dollar has kind of just continued higher. But I think if we see these employment numbers backing up these interest rate cuts, then I think that's going to start adding to some of that dollar weakness. And that's kind of what we've been looking for, right? We've seen some really great, this chart on the dollar index has been great, and I'm very interested to see how it plays out on some of these other dollar pairs. So, hey, yeah, the mid-cycle rate cut. Thank you, pal. His choice of words have been has been very interesting for sure. Man, I'll tell you what, I've said it 1,000 times. Who would want that job? It just seems like a tough one. I don't know. Maybe it's not so tough. Maybe, but it seems like, I don't know. A lot of angry traders at central bankers for sure, myself included. So this is such a great chart of the dollar index, right? We've started to eke into that infamous 100 level that held over here. It didn't hold over here, but it looks like it's trying to hold over here again. We've got this big kind of mid-range level from 10 years ago, 9 years ago, hitting these upper areas, and we've started to see some very early signs of the dollar reversing, hitting the top of that channel, getting just about, we just about hit that 100 level, got up to 99.68, and it, took a big turn down. If we have some big bad news today, big bad news, and we see that dollar index really come down, that could be pretty interesting if we get a big bearish body on this weekly candle. So right now we've kind of got this, we've got a long wick on top, we've got a little bit of body, some wick on the bottom. If we end up with just a big bullish, big bearish candle with that wick on top, that would be just so glorious. We had a similar kind of candle here on the daily chart. We've, pretty nice little reversal pattern here. We've had, a good 4 days of dollar weakness this week. So it's been interesting. And we'll see if this is able to continue on. So the VIX is high. We're creeping at, sitting at almost 20. That's pretty intense. That's why we're seeing things like Swiss franc has just been all over the place, right? So when we see that VIX up, we'll see things like the Swiss franc starting to make big moves like this, big Swiss franc movement along with some dollar weakness. So we're seeing that. And a lot of these, pretty much across the board, you can see Euro Swiss. We've been trading this thing like crazy, and same thing, big Swiss franc run here. So that's kind of happening. The markets are a little bit, they're a little worried. The Swiss franc's getting out there, showing its flexing its muscles here a little bit. The yen had a little bit of strength this week, and then the Swiss franc has kind of taken over. So some of the normal things that we look at there. So, I want to look at a couple of pairs, and Chris, 1 minute futures for NFP. That is a good question, and there's a lot of places to look. But we don't watch that as much. You can, if you're looking for any kind of specific futures markets, there's a lot of places to look for that. But we're going to stick with the currencies, especially for the next couple of minutes here, where we've got that news coming out. But it's a good question. We can talk a little bit more about that after the news hits, which is in about a minute. So let's look at this euro dollar. I'm kind of interested, where are we going to see some movement? I think euro dollar yen is kind of always a good bet. I don't like to trade the dollar yen so much. We'll look at the dollar yen for just a second here. This guy has been kind of tricky here. We've talked about this dollar yen. A lot of people ask me about it, so that's why I don't really trade it super often, but the dollar yen's kind of been stuck in this little area here. It doesn't know where to go, right? We've got some dollar strength and weakness. We've got yen strength and weakness. These two have kind of really just been battling it out. We've kind of got this area between about 104, 105, and then all the way up here at about 114. So 900 pip, 1,000 pip channel up here. It's been a tough one. So let's see how the yen movement goes. Let's see how euro dollar looks, and we'll just kind of take these guys from there. The news is just hitting. I think let's see over here. So a little bit of a move here. So we're seeing, so Dorothy, thanks for posting the number there, 136. So that's, that's kind of in line with expectations, but that's definitely a little bit on the, kind of side of things, right? Is this going to be bad news for the U.S.? Is this going to, trigger any kind of, potential additional movement here? So seeing that, yeah, we've got 136. This was a big number right here, and this is what is uh, going to kind of cause a little bit of fear in the markets, right? Average hourly earnings. So earnings are always watched pretty closely as far as what people are making. You know, it's one thing to have a job, but if everybody with a PhD is working in McDonald's, that's kind of a problem. And so earnings are watched pretty closely. We were looking for, you know, at least a decent number. Last month, 0.4%, looking for a 0.3, got 0. Boo. That's pretty bad. But, you know, and this is where things are kind of mixed, right? Decent numbers on the job creation, you know, less than expected, but better than last month. Not terrible, but still kind of in that declining trend. But then unemployment improves by 0.2%, which is a pretty decent chunk. But then earnings are total garbage, right? And so average hourly earnings. So this is going to be a tough one for the market to kind of digest. We're seeing a little bit of, you know, we're seeing a little bit of initial dollar strength here, but I'm curious to see what this is going to do for, you know, for kind of the big upcoming move here. So little bit of bigger movement than we see sometimes on these NFP reports in the last little while. It's been kind of slow watching those movements, but we're getting a little bit of activity. Dollar yen's coming up pretty hard. Euro dollar's coming down, you know, kind of hard here. We're seeing we're definitely seeing a little bit of that happen. But I'm always curious. This is why I say we wait for a minute or 2 or 3 to kind of let the news cycle through just a hair, and we'll, you know, we'll see. We may end up with an opportunity to throw a trade on here and go for it. We're just going to kind of watch and wait and see how this plays out for a couple of moments here. Excuse me. So yeah, a little bit of activity. So again, not trading the dollar yen a ton. Definitely looking at some euro dollar movement. Let me just see this dollar Swiss franc. You know, kind of interestingly, you know, a little bit of a positive dollar movement against the Swiss franc, which you know, which ultimately I would expect a little bit more in the weakness department. We have this dollar Swiss franc. Talk about this euro dollar again in a moment here as well, but I'm just watching this dollar Swiss franc. We've got a couple of missed pivots here. We've got a daily pivot that's kind of looking good. We've got a weekly pivot that's kind of looking good. And then we've got, let's see, is that monthly? Again, I just haven't even been keeping track of this dollar Swiss franc as much, but a lot of chop here, a lot of moving around. I'm curious, because we have this Swiss franc element. What a choppy, terrible chart that's been over the last several months, which is why we haven't hardly taken a single trade on it. But I'm a little extra interested in the dynamic between the US dollar and kind of that safety of the Swiss franc right now. So that's why we're looking at it. But, you know, it's kind of hopping around. It's kind of moving around. And we've got that weekly pivot down there, which could still kind of be attracting it. You know, euro dollar on the flip side, a little bit of pullback there. Definitely, you know, for the short term, definitely an interesting little double top right there. So the drawing is just, the lines are so squiggly, they're terrible. So we've got a little bit of a double top kind of lurking through this area here. You know, pretty short term. Doesn't line up too much with much else. But just a little, you know, kind of a little reminder that that's a tough level. We've got this weekly pivot up here that remains kind of unhit, and we've got, you know, some other nice upper targets. So we'll see how much this pulls back. This could be an opportunity to maybe see, you know, a little dip before a continuation higher. So non-farm payrolls always a little bit on the choppy side. And I'm interested in kind of this 109.50.60 area on euro dollar, see if that can hold, and especially if we can take out, I mean, we're not too terribly surprised to see a double top at 110, right? Nice round number. So we see We see that 110 there, kind of just hanging out on euro dollar. So yeah, I'm definitely curious to see what's going to play out here over the next couple of minutes. So kind of bouncing between 109.50 and 110. That should be something to watch for. Other dollar pairs that I think are pretty interesting. Aussie dollar, right? We've got the Aussie dollar, which has been pretty heavily on my radar, I would say. And if we're going to see a bunch of dollar strength, if it's really going to be lasting or not, that's definitely a question. But this Aussie dollar looks super interesting. This is kind of one of the bigger, longer term opportunities that I think is looking pretty good. Aussie dollar has really been pounding on this lower level, right? We've had kind of a quadruple bottom over here. And in kind of the short term, right? This was that August movement, ran it down, hit, and then it started to kind of, a little double bottom right here, short-term double bottom, and it started to kind of break out and run towards a lot of these upper targets. I'm a huge fan of missed pivots and those kinds of things for upper targets. And we've got some. We've got a monthly pivot up here, and we've got some market imbalances back through here that I think are going to make for great targets. But we do have a nice little market imbalance right through here, so I could see the Aussie dollar making a little bit of a push down into this 67.30. We're sitting around 67.50s. I'm pretty curious to see if this kind of thing happens, right? And so that is something I would say is getting my attention pretty well. But it looks like, the overall reaction is pretty llimited. We're not seeing a ton. I do like this New Zealand dollar as well. I think this is a great one. But again, couple of little levels here that we might want to keep an eye on for pullback. But I think this is a great opportunity to get a little bit of dollar strength. But I don't think the markets aren't really telling us that that the dollar's ready for a massive pullback. Yeah, we've had a little bump up, but I don't know. This might be the time that the dollar index finally decides to start coming down. So I'm interested. I am interested for sure in all of that. And I want to see if this can actually turn out to be some sort of, reliable rising wedge here. And I think we're going to be able to see some of that business. Dennis, my friend, good to see you. Good to see you. So there's kind of a little short-term rising wedge within that larger kind of channel that's been in play for about a year and a half. We start getting out of that. That starts taking us down into the bottom of the channel. And if there's really a legitimate sell-off here in the dollar, then maybe we finally make that move below the 200 moving average, which has not been able to, or it's been holding really strong. So it's been really good. So I don't know. This is interesting. It's interesting. It's all good things are happening here. But again, we have to kind of wait and see what the movement looks like, see what the market's telling us over the next couple of moments. Pretty key level here on this euro dollar, 110. We'll see if support holds here. We'll see if Aussie dollar, if we get a little dip down 30 pips somewhere in there, maybe start buying this thing and taking it higher. I really like that. That's a great little area. So some good things are in the works. I like some stuff we're seeing here. What do you guys think? What is any particular pair got your guys' attention? What are you thinking? What is everybody thinking? Anybody have any particulars that you're looking at, thinking to yourself, what is this going to do? We can talk about it for sure. And then while we watch these, I want to hear you guys' I want to take a couple of minutes, hear your questions, hear your comments, and then I want to talk about some of the best opportunities I think we see happening and coming. Okay, Chris, gold moved a few minutes early. All right. Yeah, gold moves a lot. It moves all the time. It's definitely a volatile one. So, whether gold had the inside scoop or not, who knows? But yeah, gold does move a lot. Yeah, stops at all place waiting for direction. Yeah, we could be seeing some of that for sure, Patty, for sure. Vince, my friend, good to see you. New Zealand hasn't been affected too badly. Yep, I think the New Zealand dollar, well, and that kind of definitely makes for a good opportunity. Um, wow, geez, I'm trying to keep up with the comments here. Okay, yep, New Zealand dollar. That's a great opportunity. I love that one. Um, hey, Greg, good to see you, man. Joining us from oh, you're back in Florida. Made it home. Glad to see you. Glad to see you. Excellent. James, yes, I love the Euro Swiss. Love that Euro Swiss a lot, a lot. So yeah, we'll talk about all those. Those are good ones, guys. Okay, so we're gonna watch all these pairs for a couple of moments, but I want to just kind of share with everybody where I think some excellent, fantastic opportunities are going to be. And they're definitely in a couple of New Zealand pairs. I want to update everyone on kind of what I'm seeing on these New Zealands for the moment. Um, there's some good things in the works. In fact, hopefully everybody got the closing order in the scanner group. We just closed the New Zealand CAD for just shy of 100 pips. We bought down here. We bought it down here, grabbed some of that movement up, made about 100 pips on it. That was a nice little trade. But what we're seeing is a lot of these New Zealand pairs are starting to break out of these bearish declining channels, right? So we've got this descending channel right here on the 4-hour chart. New Zealand CAD, we grabbed a nice little chunk of pips there. It's hitting some upper targets. It was a pretty aggressive move, and it left some imbalance levels back there. It kind of just hit that first little imbalance. We've got a market imbalance here and one all the way down here, a couple of missed daily pivots. So, I'm looking, and this is the reason we took profit here. I'm looking to kind of get down here and then, continue higher. That's what I think we should hopefully see coming. So that's kind of what we're looking for there. Uh, hey, Lars. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, some great things are happening. Some really nice trades are playing out, and we've been patient. August was a slow month, and September gave us a little more activity, but now markets are kind of loosening up a little bit and giving us some good movements here. So I think we need to be very ready and very on our toes and ready for some activity here. Look what this. Let me go to this chart here, so I don't have to delete all my lines. If we go to New Zealand CAD, we go to the New Zealand CAD over here, and we see we see some of these levels. And this chart's a little tiny bit off from the other one, but we're bouncing on some of these massive points here of support, and you can see New Zealand CAD just got real aggressive down there, inverted hammer, and then we just took off. I don't know what this exact candle formation is called, but those plants that are always in kind of the marshy, swampy areas. Looks like there's like a hot dog on a stick. I think that's the hot dog on a stick candlestick pattern there. I can only remember about 4 or 5 candlesticks. Formations particularly, and anyways, oh, the bull rush, there we go. It's not quite an engulfing pattern. Oh, the cattail, yeah, it's got to be something. It's got to be something. Thanks, Lars. It is a bit scary how these trades play. Here's the thing about trading, Lars, and it's a good point you bring up. We've had to be patient and sit through some trades, and it's scary, right? We think, what are we doing? We're wrong. This is all terrible. But that is what it takes to be successful at trading. You have to do things that don't feel right sometimes. I did a whole webinar series on market psychology, and Oftentimes, if it feels like we're doing the right thing, we are doing the wrong thing. So don't do what feels right in trading. Do what is right in trading. And that's really what our focus needs to be. And so that's why trading is it's so difficult to be profitable in trading, mainly because our our minds and brains and everything go to do what feels comfortable, and comfortable is almost never right in this game. It's kind of like running a marathon. If a marathon was comfortable, nobody would do it. But there's a process involved, and trading's the exact same thing. You don't have to be a genius. You don't have to be anything. You just have to follow the process and be willing to sit through some discomfort, and you'll be all right. You'll be all right. So, so that's kind of what we've got on the New Zealand CAD here. And so, great opportunity. I want to see this thing pull back, and I'm going to continue buying New Zealand CAD against about 8250. 8,300 area. I'm just going to keep getting long New Zealand CAD against that little zone there. I think that's great. Gabriel, yes, I will talk about Euro Aussie. I think that's a great one. Forgive me, D.W. Thomas. Why do I remind me your first name? I know who you are, but I don't know why. My brain is stuck here. It's stuck. Give me your first name. It's killing me. Dave Thomas. Well, that's why. Do we know each other? Have you been on our? Why am I? You're not the Wendy's guy. No, he's dead. Never mind. Okay, yeah. Wendy's. Patty, you beat me to it. You beat me to it. So hot dog. Oh, I love it. Anyway, I feel like I recognize your name, and for some reason I'm struggling here. Maybe are you back from the dead? Well, welcome. Did you bring some chili or something? So New Zealand CAD's a great opportunity, guys. Here is a fantastic one as well. Why do we love this New Zealand Swiss? We're getting some Swiss franc panic and fear. I love that. I love some panic and fear on the Swiss franc because we're getting some solid movement on this New Zealand Swiss. Now, this little bump up here is kind of interesting, but we've been hitting this support zone down here on New Zealand Swiss, and I am so ready to just dive into this thing in a major way. 6,200 looks like a great little area. So we're not far off of that. We're, 80 pips away or so. Let's get this thing dipping down a little bit. And let's see if we can get this New Zealand Swiss into some big upper areas. Now, the thing about New Zealand Swiss is it's not sitting, pretty nice little double bottom on the daily chart. That looks pretty good. That's been pretty convincing. We had a good little reversal pattern here, some train tracks, and then we broke above that. But that daily candle is looking a little interesting, so we're going to watch that. I'm not gung-ho yet because we have the New Zealand element, which is, how much panic do we how much panic should we exert here in the market? So the Swiss franc's going to be there, but we haven't really hit any major kind of big levels here, right? We've got kind of this consolidation down here at 6,100, and then we've got this this big kind of spike low down here at 5,750. So I don't know. I'm being a little bit careful, but I think on kind of a conservative basis, if we get this down a bit closer to that 6,200 and we can start buying, you can even just have a stop loss down there below 6,200. See if we can get this back up into the range high. I really like this one. I think this is just a great setup. So that range high is holding perfectly well at 6,400. And the thing about the New Zealand Swiss is it's not a super volatile pair, and it doesn't leave missed targets forever. We had a big run in the beginning of August. Markets freaked out because of the Fed's mid-cycle business. We saw that big drop, and then it just kind of held. It left all these targets along the way, and it's going to run back and hit those targets. And the thing that I always say is, I call this my Captain Obvious comment, New Zealand Swiss is going to get up there. Are we going to be in the trade or not when it does? So that's the only question, right? It's going to get up there. Will we be participating? Now, another thing to look at here is, with New Zealand Swiss, yes, it's had some big spikes down, but it's also been running down for quite some time. We had kind of these high points here 2.5 years ago, and it's been running down ever since. So, whenever you see something that's run a couple of years in one direction or another and started to hit major support levels, you're probably pretty good to start trading the opposite direction. And that's what I think we've got going on with this New Zealand Swiss. So I love this one. Great opportunity there. New Zealand yen is still coming. I'm not 100% ready for that one. So New Zealand yen's on the way, but New Zealand dollar is just glorious, and this is another opportunity for some big potential trades here. The New Zealand dollar double topped back here, right? 88.50, and the last time it hit that was July of well, apparently it was July 14th of 2014, exactly speaking. But all the way back in middle of 2014, I mean, 5+ years ago, we hit that big double top, and it's been coming down. But now it's hitting this big triple bottom. It's creating a triple bottom now, which the last time we hit it was August of 2015. And look at these candles. They don't look too much better on weekly charts. Inverted hammer, big long wick, two nice bullish candles, 2 weeks in a row. We've got some good stuff happening here on this New Zealand dollar. So I'm super anxious, excited. All these circles here are targets that are in the near term, and then we've got just endless targets further back here in some of these upper areas. But so to top off this massive triple bottom that we have here, we have a real long-term falling wedge that starts all the way back about 3 years ago. So it's been in this falling wedge for 3 years. It's hitting 10-year lows. I don't know. I think that's awesome. I think that's super, super awesome. So let's jump on that. Yes, Frank, absolutely. Yeah, when something has just been, now remember, it's kind of a, there's a little bit of a, ingredients required to make our masterpiece there, right? So it's got to be going, in one direction for a long period of time, number one. Number two, it's got to, we've got to have some great high probability targets to be trading towards. Number three, we've got to be able to see some of these things happening on other charts as well. So targets, big levels, seeing correlations on other charts, and we're definitely seeing that on New Zealand. We're at major support zones on most New Zealand pairs. Some are still kind of within 100 pips or so of some major support zones, and that doesn't mean that they can't turn, but they're all at, they're coming into these zones after years of dropping, and I think that this is a super unique opportunity for us to get in and start trading some of this stuff. So again, let's get this New Zealand dollar down here. Let's get it taken out some of these, daily pivot, market imbalance down here. Let's get those levels hit. Let's get this thing down like this, and then just straight to the moon. That's kind of what I want to see happen. So I like New Zealand pairs against support, and they're near really long-term levels on most pairs. And so that gives you kind of a nice invalidation point. You can say, well, I'm going to get into this. If it can't hold, if New Zealand dollar can't hold 6,200, then probably it's going to make a bigger move in 6,000 and so on. So, right now we're about 100 pips. We're a little more than 100 pips away from the 6,200 zone. So, as this dips down and gets closer and closer to that, we can really take advantage of some big movements with, pretty limited downside, pretty limited risk. So New Zealand pairs are top of my list. Australian pairs are top of my list. And to kind of speak more of the New Zealand pairs, we've got our Euro New Zealand trade that's, up a big chunk of pips. And we may be taking some profit here. We're leaving a few little targets and so on, but I really want to get this Euro New Zealand down to 170-200. So we're going to hang in here for a little bit more. But these New Zealand pairs are they're running super well. They're finally showing some strength. There's been a lot of New Zealand weakness. And now we're seeing some pretty good movement here. So Euro New Zealand looks awesome. Aussie pairs. Somebody was asking about the Euro Aussie. I actually like the Euro Aussie a ton because I want to see Aussie. Now, something to kind of verify here is the is the euro side of things. So we're looking at euro Aussie, euro New Zealand, euro dollar. The euro is just blowing in the wind, right? It's just going wherever the other currency is going. I think we have New Zealand weakness, or excuse me, New Zealand strength coming. I think we have Australian strength coming. So I want to trade the euro New Zealand, euro Aussie short. I think we have dollar weakness coming. So euro dollar long. So, you know, you can be, and we have a euro Swiss long as well. So we're long and short euro pairs, which is pretty uncommon thing to do typically in trading. But now we've got just such wild and crazy markets. As long as we know what to look for, things are doing pretty good. So, sorry, whoever asked about. Oh yeah, there you go, Gabrielle. Euro Aussie. I think the Euro Aussie is a fantastic opportunity to be short. There's a huge head and shoulders pattern on this daily chart. I think we're going to trade down to the neckline, down to the 160 area, 159.00. If it gets through there, then we've got a massive rising wedge that should give, I don't know, some huge profits. So, so this big rising wedge on the Euro Aussie looks super great. I think there's just such good opportunity for being bearish on this pair. So, you know, huge rising wedge, head and shoulders pattern at the top of that. And it's never a bad thing when you have a rising wedge and a head and shoulders pattern at the top. Oh yeah, and you're hitting 10-year resistance. Bump, 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 bump. So the only thing anybody should be concerned about is being a good person and getting short Euro Aussie. That's like everybody's mandate for now. So I like the Euro Aussie. We as a group are not short yet because I saw it run up and miss this monthly and weekly pivot. And I was super bummed out by that. I was looking for one. We had a pending order initially at 164.00, and it made it up to about 163.65, and then it's dropped down a good little bit. I'm going to see if this Euro Aussie can get back up there just a little bit more, and then we'll start looking for some opportunities to really get bearish. But I mean, this little short-term sell-off channel is pretty aggressive, so I think we'll get a little bit of movement up here. But as we do, all we want to do is sell this thing. Let's get it up there and then just look for that drop. Let's go for it. So Euro Aussie is awesome, awesome, and awesome. We have a big market imbalance down here, and it could be running towards that before it kind of, you know, turns and gives us a little bit of a push higher. Sorry for my terrible squiggly writing, but there you go. So that's Euro Aussie. Other Aussie pairs, we've talked about these ones. Aussie dollar. You know, again, Aussie dollar has this big kind of quadruple bottom here, but it was kind of a tricky quadruple bottom because it took out these lows over here, and there's nothing really, you know, back here stopping it beyond, you know, getting down into, you know, I mean, that low right there is basically the 60 level, right? Are we going to get all the way down to 6,000? It's possible. It's possible, but I really like Euro Aussie against at least this support zone right here, which is, you know, 66.75, 6,700, somewhere in here. I think there's a really, really good opportunity. Again, that can be a nice invalidation point. We've got some really good upper targets. So Aussie dollar should be a really, really good one. And you can see, look, it doesn't want to go down. It's trying to go down, and it just doesn't want to go down. So let's get this down here into the 67, you know, 10, 20, 30, 40 area, somewhere in there. You know, this market imbalance and daily pivot, I think, need to get hit 67.30. I think that's probably a good spot to look for some initial Aussie dollar entries long. So Aussie dollar looks awesome. I actually think that this Aussie New Zealand looks like a better sell than buy. I want to get this thing down here. The Australian dollar's been stronger than the New Zealand dollar has been, and I think it might be looking to take a break. We've had a couple of months of Aussie New Zealand strength. I want to get this thing down into kind of 105.00 or below, and then we'll start buying into that. So I think there's a better selling opportunity here for the short term, but then I want to get long Aussie New Zealand as well, and Aussie yen, and Aussie, all the rest of these. They're just looking so awesome. What's the Aussie yen doing? It's trading off of 10-year lows. So some pretty nice candles here. We had some nice little bullish reversal candle. We've had a little bit of kind of slow, steady pullback on this weekly chart. But I like this channel, and I think this is a great little area for this kind of continue, you know, working its way down before breaking out and starting to head into some of these upper areas. So, you know, getting in as close to the 70, 50, 7100 area on Aussie yen, and then taking this up into 70, 73, 74, 75 should be a really easy run. So there should be 200 or 300 or 400 easy pips to grab out of this Aussie yen. So I love that. Those of you that know my thoughts and feelings about Aussie Swiss, I love this as well. Double bottom, all-time lows. That's fine. We'll take that. Remember this low, this kind of double bottom area is about 65.50, so it's, you know, about 200 pips off that now. But it's just giving us some great opportunities. It runs up, it pulls back, it continues higher. I think Aussie New Zealand is a really, really great chart to just kind of continue higher, as is the Aussie CAD. So guys, we have a lot of really good opportunities coming up here. We have a lot of good Aussie pairs, a lot of good New Zealand pairs, and I think a real big mover and a real big reactor to a lot of this is going to be the dollar index. And if we can keep that dollar index rolling lower, then all of this will probably be even easier. But I'm big time focused on getting long and staying long Aussie and New Zealand pairs. I think those are just super great. So I want to do that as much as possible. So that's where I think some opportunities are going to come from. Now, as always, just knowing a few things isn't going to make it, you know, just an easy no-brainer trade. I mean, we've talked about some levels. This is recorded. You guys can view this later. Anybody that's, you know, not part of the group, you can look at this and say, hey, how did this play out with that level? You know, we talked about it. You know, the thing to probably do would be go back, rewatch this, mark these levels on your charts, make some notes, and just watch how everything plays out. There's going to be a lot of pips and a lot of profits that come from what we have talked about today. So I want to make sure that that is thought about, because that'll be definitely important. But, you know, again, just knowing some levels doesn't always, you know, make it an easy trading opportunity. There's some things that have to be done, you know, as far as money management goes, as far as, you know, spacing some entries out, as far as keeping your psychology together. Half of my job is talking people off a cliff. So I do that quite a bit. Everybody take a big deep breath. Everything's going to be okay. That's kind of my go-to phrase. And so, you know, it's not just find a level and trade it. There's other things that are involved. So I definitely strongly recommend, you know, keeping an eye on that. One thing that you can look at, guys, is I'd love to chat with anybody that is not in the group, as those that are in the group, we chat every day. So if you're not in the group with us, go to this website, put in your information. I just posted it here. Just your name, email address. We'll give you a call. I'll chat with you on the phone, talk to you about your trading, talk to you a little bit more about what we do in the group. And you know, see if it's something that can help you become a better, more profitable, more successful trader. So we do a good little bit of that. So head over to the website, daytradersfx.com. You can just click on the learn more. That'll take you to this page, or you can click on the link I just posted. But some good things are in the works, guys. I think we have some really, 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 really good trading opportunities coming up, and I'm pretty excited about the pairs that I've talked about, as well as a lot of other pairs. We've got a lot of trades going at the moment, and I love how they all look. There's just really, really good setups playing out. So it's pretty exciting stuff. What do you guys think? Does anyone have any questions about some charts we talked about or some trading opportunities? Love to see that euro dollar kind of holding there. If it can charge for 110 and break through that, that just kind of adds to the fun. Angie, the Aussie dollar can and should be able to come down a little bit before continuing up. This is kind of part of the patience game, right? I think it should. It may not, but I really want to see the Aussie dollar down around 67.30-ish area, daily pivot market imbalance. I really want to see it down there. Now, here's something to keep in mind, Angie, and everybody else as well. Non-farm payroll day, when we have big news like we have had today, you know, we get kind of the initial reaction. That's our initial reaction candle right there. And then it says, oh, no, I don't want to go down. And then we see the next candle starting to run higher. Don't be surprised to see this candle over the next hour, you know, fail to get above this area. And then maybe a little bit further down. And then it doesn't make a new low. And then it runs back up. And then we get some kind of move like that. So, you know, days like this can be a little bit tricky. The markets kind of make a push, make a push, make a push. Around this kind of volatility, unless there's a really significant movement, real big run up or real big run down, then I just tend to stay out of it for a couple of hours because we see, you know, a little bit up and then it doesn't, and then it fails the high and then it fails a new low and it fails and then we get kind of a bigger breakout. So be patient with this. We could very, very easily see the Aussie dollar hit 67.30 in an hour or two or three kind of a thing. So, and I know you're in Australia and it's getting late. So, I mean, even go to bed and wake up, and obviously when you wake up, the market's probably closed, but you know, start of the week, I would be very anxious to see this Aussie dollar, you know, dip down to that area and then rally off that. So yeah, absolutely. What else, guys? What else? Do we have any questions, any comments in there? Good, Angie. Yeah, you know, protect some profit, move your stops into profit, and just let it run. Let it run. Thanks, Greg. Nice to see you, my friend. Glad to have you with us, and yeah, it'll be great to have you in the group. It'll be really good. Absolutely. Glad you could make it. CAD pairs. The only CAD pairs I'm interested in at the moment. The only ones I think that are safe to trade is probably, I'm thinking for just a second, probably New Zealand CAD. I don't like the dollar CAD. That is a huge mess. CAD yen is really kind of running all over the place. CAD Swiss, I do like CAD Swiss from time to time, but CAD Swiss has been real choppy and hasn't given us a whole lot lately. So it's just been a lot of that. There's our CAD yen, a lot of that. Dollar CAD. You know, it's just been a messy run on CAD pairs. So New Zealand CAD and and Aussie CAD. New Zealand CAD and Aussie CAD are the only CAD pairs that I like, that I think are safe and worth trading at the moment. I would honestly stay away from the other CAD pairs because they are looking real messy and choppy. We need to get the other CAD pairs kind of breaking out and giving us a bit of a movement before trying to jump in on those. But Aussie CAD, New Zealand CAD have really clear levels and really good kind of setups. But everything else on the CAD is looking kind of yucky. Okay. What else, guys? What else? Any other thoughts? Any other questions, comments? Yeah, Patty. Yeah, we just got to wait for the setup. The thing that we definitely, I'll try not to go off on too much of a tangent. It is something I do. But we do have to wait for the market. We just got to wait for the market. So if there's one thing that I could strongly encourage most of you guys, if not all of you guys, to do is be very, very careful trying to day trade the opens, the New York Open, the London Open. Be really careful with that stuff. There are some good opportunities and there's some good things to happen there. And it's probably a lot safer now than it's ever been, right? I think it's true, Patty. I think it's true. It's probably safer to day trade, you know, the opens now because, you know, there's pretty limited movement. The volatility, you know, kind of just gives us a little chop up and down. And it's not so crazy, but my biggest recommendation to all of you guys would be just trade with pending orders. Put in a pending order at the level you want to get in at. Don't try to day trade this stuff. We all see movement. Oh, what's going on with what's going on with whatever pair right now? What direction do I think it's going to go? Hey, we've had this big move down on Euro Swiss. You know, should we jump in and be bearish? Should we be bullish? Whatever. We should be waiting for whatever levels we've been waiting for and get in when they get hit. And that's it. And that will keep you out of so much trouble. Manage risk, use pending orders, identify your levels in advance. The reason I do, you know, obviously those of you that are in the group, I pound this drum all the time. And you guys are like, yeah, we know, and we do it, and it's fine, and everything's fine. That's great. Everybody that's in the group, you guys are major outliers because still a huge majority of traders lose all their money and quit trading. So we don't do that in the group. We've had pretty darn good success. And so it's because we do several things that the average trader does not do. And not that I'm saying we're super smart or whatever, but I have learned through a lot of expensive, painful lessons that that there's things you shouldn't do if you want to have a happy life. And and some of those things are trying to constantly attack the market from all angles, trying to be at your charts every second of every day. Trading actually doesn't need to be that time consuming. Find the levels, spend, honestly, as a full-time trader, I'm at my charts, a good chunk of the day, every day. But I could do everything that I do in probably, if I wanted to really push it and drag things out, probably 2 hours a day. Be a full-time trader in about 2 hours a day. Now, if you're a scalper or something else, you've got to be there and you've got a great system and it's working out well for you, you've got to be there more. But for the kind of trading I do, 1 to 2 hours a day is on the high end. So it just doesn't take that long. You just don't need to sit and stare at your charts endlessly. We find our levels, we put our orders in, we manage our risk, we go for it. So yes. Hey, Sam, good to see you, my friend. Yes, here's to staying alive, folks. Here is to staying alive. Thank you, Lars. Thank you. Yep. We just try to keep it steady, try to keep the boat steady, and find some good trades and just, rinse and repeat. We're like a shampoo commercial. Just go for it. So that's what we try to do. And that's what we want to definitely make happen. So thanks, Fiona. Nice to have you. Thanks, Jim. Good to have you, my friend. Where's all of our visitors from today? Those that are joining us that aren't typically in the group, where are you guys joining in from? Always interesting to see where people are in from. I know we've got a couple of Floridians. Patty, Wisconsin? Which Patty is this? Is this a different Patty? Or are you actually just in Wisconsin right now? That's cool. That's all right. Fiona, UK. Okay. Chris from Canada. Reggie from Belgium. All right. All right. Okay. Different Patty then. Sorry. Thought we were talking about another Patty. Matt from Germany. Good to see you. Jern from Panama. Oh, Grant from Thailand. Man, I should have looked you up, Grant. I was in Thailand a month or so ago. What a great place. I really like Thailand. And I'll tell you what, of a lot of countries I've been to, Thailand has great internet. The internet's really fast and really good. It's just, I was in, so being in, and Grant, I'm going to assume you're not from Thailand, but you're living in Thailand now, right? Is that correct? I was calling home to talk to my kids when we were in Thailand, and I was chatting with my brother was with our kids for a little bit, and he said, "I swear we live in the Matrix. You're 10,000 miles away, and there is zero delay on this call. How does that work? 10,000 miles away, and there's no delay." So, oh, it's funny. Sabra. Susan from Loveland, Colorado. Good to see you, Susan. Nice, very nice. Reggie, have a safe trip to Thailand. Omar, yeah, you and I spoke on the phone yesterday. It was great to speak with. Was it yesterday or the day before? Anyway, apologies. Brain's going on me. But Scotland, yeah, good to see you, Omar. Glad you made it in with us today. Okay, gotcha. All right, very good. Well, guys, that's the scoop. I would love to hear a little bit more from you all. We've got people from all over the world. It's so exciting to always get together with you guys. Head over to daytradersfx.com. Click on Learn More over here. It's not any kind of wild, crazy sales pitch. It's me talking to you about trading, and let's do it. Let's do it. So head over to the website. Click on the link that I've posted in here. I'll post it one more time so everybody has it. We'd love to chat with you, get in touch, see how things are looking. But thanks for being on with us this morning, guys. We've got a lot of great trades coming. So if you want to take advantage with us in the group, click on this link. Let's chat about it. Let's see what the opportunities are and how things are, lining up for that. For those that are in the group, buckle up, guys. We've got a great couple of months ahead. The charts are speaking to our souls. So we're doing it. We're doing it. Thanks, everybody. Great chatting with you all. Good to see everybody today. Have a wonderful, happy, fantastic Friday and a wonderful weekend. Take care, guys. And for all of you group members, we'll see you back here bright and early Monday morning. We've got a lot of great trades to get into. Thanks, everybody. Have a great weekend and a great day. Take care, guys. We'll see y'all.